All right, ladies and gentlemen, Pridewind's tier list was recently updated for Zenless Zone Zero's version 1.6, and it is pretty fair to say that the ZZZ subreddit, the official one, is not very happy with it. And I'll explain why. You're seeing over here that this post only has 183 updates and over 290 comments. And you know what that means? A lot of discussion, but a lot of people are not very happy with what they're seeing on this screen. A lot of comments talking about how certain characters are being dropped down when it's this early in the game's release. A lot of comments about how a character like Ellen Joe, the first limited 5-star in the game, is dropping all the way down to tier 1.5. And of course, the presence of basically every newer character on the roster really just being straight up at the top for pretty much every single role. And unfortunately, right, I do think that this is a sign. This is a bit worrisome. There is a lot going on here that I wanted to break down when it comes to the future of the game and kind of like where ZZZ is headed, knowing that it is being developed by Hoyoverse and it's being balanced by Hoyoverse. And so with that, let's go ahead and just dive into the tier list ourselves and start talking a little bit about it. So let's take a look at the changelog and let's see what the Pridewind devs, funny I call them devs, the Pridewind devs are saying here. With the release of S0 Ambi and an accumulation of data over a number of phases since our last update, we're making some substantial changes to the tier list, specifically the damage category. In recent phases of Xiaoyu, a divide between damage and characters currently in the Apex tier has emerged. To address this, we're introducing tier 4, reorganizing the tiers, and adjusting the ratings of some characters. And this is gonna be really the worst part of it all, and this is where I have so much worry about where the future of the game is headed. After the release of Miyabi, Evelyn, and now S0 Ambi, it's clear the bar for damage dealers has been set higher. With the past 3 DPS-oriented characters that have released, the damage levels and like just what clears are possible, the times, it's all been leveled up. And if you don't have these characters, it's slowly turning into a situation, right, where you might be told to just go fuck yourself. To reflect this reality, we've had to adjust the rating of some older damage dealers down the tier list. With that said, these characters are by no means bad or unable to clear the endgame content. They simply don't destroy it quite at the same pace as the most recent additions to the damage dealing roster. Boy, oh boy, this is giving me some war flashbacks to Honkai Star Rail in 2.1 when they released Acheron. To ensure the tier list still makes sense and each character is in a tier with peers that reflect a similar power level, we've introduced an additional tier 4 and shuffled the majority of characters down the tier list. In addition to this change, we've also adjusted the meta line indicating what is a niche character and what is a meta character, from sitting between tier 1.5 and tier 2 to sit between tier 2 and tier 3 instead. If you didn't understand a lot of the words that I just covered, essentially, the new characters are so fucking broken and so strong and deal so much more damage than the other characters that, well, everybody else has had to be bumped down, specifically in the damage category. And I've got to say, the main culprit of this very worrying situation is, of course, Miyabi. I don't know if you all have been keeping up with meta, with strength, with clear times and ZZZ, but this character is fucking broken. This character is so strong that you sometimes have to wonder what the purpose of her addition to the game really was. The character simply is, she's like quick swap, she works against ice resistant floors, she does like more damage than Ellen Joe, the premium ice DPS that released in 1.0 of the game, and for some reason people are like in this state of acceptance. The community is like giga coping by insinuating that
she's a Void Hunter. Oh, she's a Void Hunter in the lore, so it's fine for her to be like twice as strong as everybody else.
And that's the thing. This whole Void Hunter excuse, this whole story implementation excuse for having one character that's straight up at M0, no dupes, deals more damage than Ellen with 6 dupes is just frankly fucking absurd. And this is the problem here. When it comes to power creep, a lot of people have been using this excuse, right? Ellen can still clear the endgame content, so power creep is not a problem. What people fundamentally don't understand about this idea of power creep is that it doesn't matter if you can still clear the content. If I'm in Wuthering Waves and I have like a well-invested Danjin and I can still clear with 4-star characters in the endgame content, that doesn't mean that Kuro now has permission and acceptance to release like a character that does 4 times the damage as, let's just say, like a Carlotta. If Kuro released a character that dealt like 2 times the damage that Carlotta did, but Danjin can still clear, does that mean that power creep is not a problem? No, it means that power creep would 1,000,000% still be a problem, because now the value of everybody else on my roster has just straight up gone down, because now there's this new character that if I don't pull them, I am not able to reach the same power level on my account that somebody else did. Who cares if the endgame content isn't adjusted? Who cares if you can still clear? Because now there's a damage ceiling in the game that can only be met by pulling the newest character. And 1,000,000 fucking percent, that is what Miyabi did. She added a new damage limit to the game that nobody else is able to reach, and that Ellen, the first limited DPS, is not even close to. And so people getting to this idea that as long as you can still clear, power creep is not a problem, or power creep really isn't an issue, genuinely don't seem to understand the fundamental problem. If I'm somebody that pulled Ellen, if I'm somebody that pulled her weapon, and now Miyabi's out, and it's just a way better value, way better deal, costs the same amount of resources, requires the same level up mats, and just does double, triple, quadruple her fucking damage, I'm going to feel like shit. I'm going to feel stupid. I'm going to feel like an idiot for having this character on my account and not prioritizing the giga broken one. And so the feeling or the idea that your past investments, the past money you might have spent, the free pulls, the resources that you grinded for that were spent on other characters that now suck ass, that feels bad. And you want to know what else feels bad? The idea that there's going to be HP inflation, that the endgame could get harder because the devs recognize, oh wow, people with a Miyabi, the giga broken fucking character, have no challenge at all in the endgame because she's too strong and deals too much damage. And so now, why don't we just make the endgame harder? And this is the thing, guys. There are already people talking about it. HP inflation concerns. Anyone else worried the game is heading in a direction Star Rail is going? It feels like every Deadly Assault reset, all my teams lose like 2 to 3k score, and every Shiyu reset, I'm clearing ever so slightly slower. My Haramasa whatever is doing optimal manual chain rotations, is clearing a boss in over 2.5 minutes. Jane Hyper, which used to clear anything about in a minute or so, cleared the pack leader in 240. If I didn't have Miyabi, I feel like I wouldn't be able to clear this Shiyu without being forced to pull for Evelyn. And so there is HP inflation in ZZZ that's already occurring, because guess what? There's probably recognition by the dev team, hey, these people, they're gonna have Miyabi. And if Miyabi's used in this content that doesn't have HP inflation, she just feels like a fucking cakewalk and feels like they're not playing a game anymore. And guess what, guys? If you already have a track record of a game like HSR, where HP inflation became the new way for the endgame to be designed, and you know that's made by Hoyo, and ZZZ is also made by Hoyo, then guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It's probably going to happen to ZZZ as well. And as we all remember, let me show you what the tier list looked like for HSR back in 1.0. That's what the tier list for HSR looked like in 1.0. You had Sela, you had Clara, you had Yanqing and S. Amazing, right? You want to know what the tier list for HSR looks like now? After all of this, basically after the damage ceiling got raised in every single way, and then players just kept coping.
Oh, I can still clear the endgame with my Sela. Oh, she can still clear the endgame. There's no power creep, guys.
We got good old Aglaia and the Herta, the newest release characters in a tier of their own. The newest release characters in a tier of their own. Then we got Acheron, who used to be broken. Fei Zhao, who used to be broken. All of these other characters, right? All the 2.0 characters that used to be the strongest ever. They're now in tier 0.5. All right. Let's see how far we have to go to find Sela, who used to be the best character in the game. Okay. Nice. Nice. The game, HSR, has added so many characters, has raised the damage ceiling with pretty much every single release, and now we're at the point where Sela, who used to be the tier 0S character, is now niche. Not to mention Baldi as well. And you want to know where you're going to find Yanqing, tier 5? the forgotten ones, this is the fear that ZZZ players should be having in their hearts, knowing that Hoyoverse is the one in charge of balancing their endgame, and they have already fucked it up completely with a game like Honkai Star Rail, where you have the Jing Lius in tier 2, you have like all of these characters who used to be so incredibly strong, who used to be like the apex tier, who used to be the best ones, the best picks possible. And now, so many of them are absolutely useless, can clear the end game maybe with the help of like the tier 0 characters up here in like the support or amplifier category. And if you don't have them, you literally have no chance of clearing with these members of your roster. Using the excuse that like, oh, yeah, one day Ellen and Harumasa or whatever, they'll be able to clear because you'll just have to use them with the tier 0 support. Guess what? Now you're gonna need to pull a new limited 5-star just to use your old ones. That's the exact same thing that happened in HSR. You can't use any of these older DPS characters without pulling the new limited supports. And it's been happening over and over and over again in HSR. And I genuinely think it's just going to happen in ZZZ because they set a new standard here with this unit. There has been a new fucking standard here set with this unit. And if they don't release somebody that's just slightly worse than her, or even at the same level, or even better than Miyabi, they're not going to sell. Nobody's gonna fucking pull on them, because what reason would you have to ever pull on a DPS that is significantly weaker than Miyabi? There's no reason anymore. And with this whole Void Hunter phenomenon that people seem to have like this copium fetish for, they're gonna have a Void Hunter support who's gonna be in tier 0 all on their own and then bump everybody else down. And then the next supports that get released, you want them to be at the same level or just below the Void Hunter support, otherwise they're not gonna sell. Then you're gonna have the Void Hunter stun character, the Void Hunter defense character, and they're gonna be in a whole different tier of their own. And if you don't pull them, well, guess what? You might not be able to clear the end game. And this is the thing, guys. They've already set a standard for this. She's basically the Acheron of ZZZ. And it's just going to be something that right now, this is not getting controlled at all. And Miyabi, I made a video about how Miyabi was going to ruin ZZZ. And we're seeing over here with Evelyn, tier 0 1.5, Ambi in tier 0 1.5, everybody else just getting knocked the fuck down the tier list because of the strength of the new characters. That is actually happening. The signs, the warning signs are on the wall. And this is the thing, guys. You better hope that the ZZZ devs get a message like this very soon. To name some examples, we'll be adding richer gameplay and challenge goals to the game. In addition, issues close to Trailblazers' hearts, including difficulty deploying older characters on the battlefield and the strengthening of these older characters, are already on the schedule. You better hope that there's something like this coming for ZZZ soon, with where the trajectory of this game is heading. Maybe Hoyoverse is going to start buffing the older members of the roster. It's something they've never had to do for Genshin Impact, because they've actually done a pretty decent job of balancing damage in that game. But in this one, they've already fucked it up, and the game is not even at the year mark yet. The game released in July. It is March, and they are already having rampant power creep that is heavily devaluing the rest of the roster. And guess what? The longer this community stays in this cope-ass mindset that, oh, as long as you can clear the end game, it's fine. Miyabi's a Void Hunter. They're a Void Hunter. It's okay if they're way stronger than everybody else. If people keep using that copium excuse for every single bit of power creep that comes into this game, guess what? Instead of becoming like Genshin Impact, which is far better balanced, you can still use 1.0 characters and 1.0 DPSs and blow up the content and feel great. You're gonna end up like fucking Honkai Star Rail, where the entire 1.0 roster might as well legitimately not fucking exist, and it becomes a just pull the Void Hunter, only pull the Void Hunter, because everybody else is a waste of fucking pulls. And that's what it has turned into. And the thing is, it's scary. It's scary to see that the same exact thing that's happening to Honkai Star Rail is happening to this game. And the fact that Pridewood had to go in, write this entire fucking explanation for why every single person is moving down, holy shit. I can see why people are upset, because people don't like seeing the previous value of all their expenditures, the previous value of their pulls, go straight down the fucking drain. And that is what the ZZZ devs did with Miyabi, and that is what they will continue to do with every single release. And so, I'm kind of in the mindset that Honkai Star Rail and ZZZ aren't actually games. They aren't actually games. I feel like they're actually just marketing for Genshin Impact. In that Hoyo can now use Genshin as like their shining example of like how they've balanced a game decently well. And they're just gonna like intentionally tank Honkai Star Rail and ZZZ by putting so much rampant power creep in those fucking titles that people now think more highly or better for Genshin Impact. Because now they're just gonna be like, you know what? Holy shit. Maybe Genshin wasn't that bad after all. Because look at how fucked up HSR is. Maybe Genshin actually was doing some things right. Maybe we were too harsh on Genshin, because look at how fucked up ZZZ has become. They're like sacrificial offerings. It's like fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! Genshin's like the 8-star unit, and ZZZ and Honkai Star Rail are like the two tributes you use to summon them. That's honestly what it feels like it's becoming right now. And at the end of the day, time will tell, but the signs are already here. This is literally the exact same thing that happened to HSR. Raise the damage ceiling with Acheron, just like Miyabi did. Every other future DPS has performance very similar to Miyabi and right below her, just like how Firefly did. And then they start raising the HP, which they're currently doing right now. And soon it's going to become very hard, extremely hard, to clear the endgame content with the older members of the roster. And then you're going to end up to the point where, hey, oh, it looks like Ellen's having some trouble. Let's release the Void Hunter support. That's going to allow Ellen to clear the content. Oh, and so it now becomes, you want to use Ellen? Oh, big boy. Oh, big boy. You better make sure you pull the new support. You better make sure you pull the new stunner. If you don't have them, go fuck yourself. Because that's exactly how it is, ladies and gentlemen, for all of these characters. You don't have the new limited support, you might as well just not play the game. You might as well just quit. Just re-roll a new account, go pull the Herda, go pull a Glea, and just pretend the problem isn't there. You actually have a better experience in HSR pulling a new account if you've taken a break or you haven't been pulling the new units. And if that's where the game wants to go, that's where the game wants to go. But it is legitimately one of the worst player experiences that there can be in gacha gaming. People have been talking about how HSR's power creep has been unprecedented with how fast it's been, with how useless every single 1.0 character has become. And ZZZ is on a fast track to doing the exact same thing. And so if I'm a ZZZ player, if I'm somebody that actually cares about the longevity of this game, I'm throwing a fucking riot. I am telling these devs that they have no clue what they are doing and that they need to actually start implementing these buffs to older units. Don't wait until your characters can't clear like an HSR. Raise the fucking issue right now, and don't let the characters become useless until the devs decide to take action. They should be taking action immediately to mitigate this happening in the future versus waiting until it's a problem like it is with HSR. And they've already played their hand, right? They've already committed to buffing. Make that happen for ZZZ as soon as possible if you actually do want to save this game. And so with that, let me know what you think. I think ZZZ is in a rough fucking spot. Peace out.